Good afternoon, Class 6. Today we will continue with the chapter Diversity and Discrimination. What do you understand by diversity? That we have discussed in the previous class as well as in the first chapter. Now, what is the difference between diversity and discrimination? Diversity is difference. It can be difference in the religion, in the way of celebrating festivals, in the way of talking. But what is discrimination? Discrimination is something when somebody is looked down upon by some other people because of certain reasons. Although those reasons, we cannot say that it can be justified. Sometimes you must have seen that if you go to a party, you will notice that if a boy of the maid is there, then people treat him differently in comparison to the children who are from better social strata. So that is what discrimination is. Now, we have discussed about prejudice that day. I hope you have understood what does prejudice means. It is again forming an opinion about something, again just because the person conceives it that way, the person sees it that way. We cannot say that it can be justified or it is factual. Then we have talked about the stereotype images or stereotype people. Now, what do you understand by stereotype? Stereotype, you must have heard certain statements like if a boy is crying, somebody says that don't cry like a girl. But that is being stereotyped, because if somebody is hurt, either the person is a boy or a girl, that is like very common thing that a person will tend to cry. But then we have this stereotype image in the society that we say that crying is the job or act of a girl. And on the other hand, if you see somebody if a boy who is behaving, maybe he is trying to be friendly and he is not showing that he is very masculine or something like that, then again people will tease him that stop being sissy or stop behaving like a girl. Again, this is a stereotype image, because it is like a girl can also be friendly, a boy can also be friendly, and there is no necessity of showing the masculinity or for a boy to prove that he is a boy. So you can see these type of examples in the society, in the everyday life. Now, today we will start with inequality and discrimination. Discrimination happens when people act on their prejudices or stereotypes. If you do something to put other people down, if you stop them from taking part in certain activities and taking up jobs, or stop them from living in certain neighborhoods, prevent them from taking water from the same well or hand pump, or not allow them to drink tea in the same cups or glasses as others, you are discriminating against them. So these are the examples of discrimination which you can see in the society. It is still very prevalent. Discrimination can take place because of several reasons. You probably recall from the previous chapter that Samir Ek and Samir Do were different from each other in many ways. For example, they belong to different religions. This is an aspect of diversity. However, this diversity can also be a source of discrimination. Groups of people who may speak a certain language, follow a particular religion, live in specific region, etc. may be discriminated against as their customs or practices may be seen as inferior. This is what I was telling you, that if you go to a party and you see that the child of the maid who is working there, who is earning by working in that family, is there, people behave in a different way with that child in comparison to child from their social strata, just because that child is a child of a maid. So this is what discrimination is. Okay. Another difference between the two Samirs was in their economic backgrounds. Samir, though, was poor. This difference, as you have read earlier, is not a form of diversity but of inequality. People who are poor do not have the resources or the money to meet their basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. They experience discrimination in offices, in hospitals, schools, etc., where they are treated badly because they are poor. So, I have told you the difference between inequality in the previous chapter when we were discussing it, that inequality is something when like a person can be like ill treated because he or she belongs to a poor family. So you can see all these differences in your everyday life. You must have observed it in some of the daily soaps also. Very frequently they show all these things, so to make the people aware of about it. Some people may experience both kinds of discrimination. They are poor and they belong to group whose culture is not valued. Tribals, some religious groups and even particular regions are discriminated against for one or more of these reasons. In the following section, we will look at how a famous Indian was discriminated against. This will help us understand the way in which caste was used to discriminate against large number of people. Here you can take the example, if you have been to a village, you must have seen that if a particular person is from a particular caste, you will see that he or she sits on the floor, whereas people from who are considered to be from the higher caste, they sit on the charpoys or maybe on the chairs, and they will not, you can say that they will not take the tea in front of them, and this is all inequality or discrimination. A common stereotype about some Muslims is that they are not interested in educating girls and therefore do not send girls to school. However, studies have now shown that poverty amongst Muslims is an important reason why Muslim girls do not attend school or drop out from school after a few years. Wherever efforts has been made to reach education to the poor, there the Muslim community has shown an interest in sending their girls to school. For example, in the state of Kerala, the distance between the school and the home is not much. There is a good government bus service, and that helps teacher reach school in rural areas, and over 60% of the teachers are women. These factors have helped children from poorer families, including Muslim girls, attend school in much larger number. In other states, where such efforts have not been made, children from poorer families, whether Muslims, tribal, or so called lower caste, find it difficult to attend school. Therefore, poverty, not religion, is the cause for non attendance of Muslim girls in school. So, this is one example that people believe or have this misconception that girls from the Muslim family are not allowed to take education. But then that is not the real cause. The real cause is the poverty and the distance which is there from their house to the school. They cannot walk that much of distance and go and get education. On being discriminated against, people are engaged in different kinds of work like teaching, carpentry, pottery, weaving, fishing, farming, etc. to earn a livelihood. However, certain kinds of work are valued more than others. Activities like cleaning, washing, cutting hair, picking garbage are seen as tasks that are of less value, and people who do this work are seen as dirty or impure. This belief is an important aspect of the caste system. In the caste system, communities, groups of people were placed in a sort of ladder where each caste was either above or below the other. Those who placed themselves at the top of the ladder called themselves upper caste and saw themselves as superior. The groups who were placed at the bottom of the ladder were seen as unworthy and called untouchables. Now, so this is something like initially when this Varn system was introduced, the purpose was that they felt that a particular caste should work or earn their livelihood by, like, decided or prescribed live work which the occupation they had to, choose. But later on it was like now the government has given the choice, and people can from any caste can choose any occupation they feel like. But then what had happened in the past, that people who were from the higher caste, they felt that they are in the higher rank, and those who are below them, they are in the lower rank. Then there were particular castes who were termed as untouchables. That means they should not cross the road. If some people from higher caste are moving, they should not come out of their houses, and lot of restrictions were there on their movements. Caste rules were set which did not allow the so called untouchables to take on work other than what they were meant to do. For example, some groups were forced to pick garbage and remove dead animals from the village, but they were not allowed to enter the houses of the upper caste or take water from the village well, or even enter temples. Their children could not sit next to the two children of other caste in school. Thus, upper caste acted in a way which did not give the so called untouchables the same rights as they enjoyed. So, this was the discrimination. They were like forced to do these work. Their children were not allowed to go to the school or not allowed to sit next to the children of people who were from the higher caste, and lot of restrictions were there. Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, one of the greatest leaders of India, shares his first experience of caste based discrimination, which took place in 1901 when he was just 9 years old. He had gone with his brothers and cousins to meet his father in Koregaon, which is now in Maharashtra. Long did we wait, but no one turned up. An hour elapsed, and the station master came to inquire. He asked us for our tickets. We showed them to him. He asked us why we tarried. We told him that we were bound for Goregaon and that we were waiting for father or his servant to come, but that neither had turned up and that we did not know how to reach Goregaon. We were well dressed children. From our dress or talk, no one could make out that we were children of untouchables. Indeed, the station master was quite sure we were Brahmin children and was extremely touched at the plight in which he found us. As is usual among the Hindus, the station master asked us who we were. Without a moment's thought, I blurted out that we were Mahars. Mahar is one of the communities which were treated as untouchables in the Bombay Presidency. He was stunned. His face underwent a sudden change. We could see that he was overpowered by a strange feeling of repulsion. As soon as he heard my reply, he went away to his room and we stood where we were. 15 to 20 minutes elapsed. The sun was almost setting. Our father had not turned up, nor had he sent his servant, and now the station master had also left us. We were quite bewildered, and the joy and happiness which we felt at the beginning of the journey gave way to a feeling of extreme sadness. After half an hour, the station master returned and asked us what we proposed to do. We said that if we could get a bullock cart on hire, we would go to Koregaon, and if it was not very far, we would like to start straight away. There were many bullock carts plying for hire, but my reply to the station master that we were Mahars had gone round among the cartmen, and not one of them was prepared to suffer being polluted and to demean himself carrying the passengers of the untouchable classes. We were prepared to pay double the fare, but we found that money did not work. The station master, who was negotiating on our behalf, stood silent, not knowing what to do. So here Bhimrao Ambedkar has shared one of his one of the incidents which he had faced when he was just 9 years old. And he said that he went to the station with his friends, with his cousins and his brothers. He was waiting for his father or his servant to come up, but because they were dressed properly, the station master, when he came to inquire, he didn't he couldn't assume that they were from a family of Mahars who were considered untouchables. But when Bhimrao Ambedkar told him, he was really felt offended sort of, and then he left them. But those children, they kept on waiting. After some time again, the station master came as it was about to, the sun was about to set. So he inquired that now what is their plan of action? What do they want? So they said that they wanted to go to Koregaon either by, if it is not very far off, they can walk the distance or they can take a bullock cart, and they were ready to pay the fare. But the people who were driving those bullock carts, they have heard their conversation, and none of them was ready to take these untouchable children, even when they were ready to pay more than the required amount. So this is a situation which he has shared with us. Now, before we proceed, let's see the definition. What is a Dalit? Dalit is a term that people belonging to so-called lower caste use to address themselves. They prefer this word to untouchable. Dalit means those who have been broken. This word, according to Dalits, show how social prejudices and discrimination have broken the Dalit people. The government refers to this group of people as scheduled caste. So instead of being called as untouchable, they prefer to be called as Dalit, which means broken, and this shows their plight, how they have been ill treated by the society. Okay. So Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, he was born in 1891 and he survived till 1956. Is considered the father of Indian Constitution and is also the best known leader of the Dalits. Dr. Ambedkar fought for the rights of the Dalit community. He was born into the Mahar caste, which was considered untouchable. The Mahars were poor, owned no land, and children born to them also had to do the work their parents did. They lived in spaces outside the main village and were not allowed into the village. Dr. Ambedkar was the first person from his caste who completed his college education and went to England to become a lawyer. He encouraged Dalits to send their children to school and college. He also urged Dalits to take on different kinds of government jobs in order to move out of the caste system. He led many efforts of Dalits to gain entry into temples. Later in life, he converted to Buddhism in his search for a religion that treated all members equally. Dr. Ambedkar believed that Dalit must fight the caste system and work towards a society based on respect and not just for few but for all persons. So, the most important thing is that he is considered as the father of the Indian Constitution, and he fought for the Dalits. He wanted to, ask them or motivate them to fight for the equality. He said that they should compete for the government jobs so that they can gain respect in the society. Imagine how difficult it would be if people could not move easily from one place to the other. How insulting and hurtful it is to have people move away, refuse to touch you, or allow you to drink water from the same source as they do. So, obviously, if we talk about this, you will feel that it is not there in the society. You have not seen these things, but it is still there. If you go to the villages, you will find that these things are still prevalent. Although in cities, it is not very visible. This small incident shows how a simple task of going from one place to another in a cart was not available to the children, even though they could pay the money. All the cartmen at the station refused to take the children. They acted in a discriminatory manner. So clearly, as this story shows us, caste based discrimination is not only limited to preventing Dalits from undertaking certain economic activities, but it also denies them the respect and dignity given to others. So, from this story which Ambedkar had shared with us, you can see that how discrimination was done on the basis of caste. Okay, striving for equality. The struggle for freedom from British rule also included within it the struggle of large group of people who not only fought against the British but also fought to be treated more equally. Dalits, women, tribals, and peasants fought against the inequalities they experienced in their lives. So, when we talk about the struggle with the British, there were simultaneously other struggles also going on. Women, Dalits, tribals, peasants, they were fighting for the equality, that they should be treated equally along with the other people of the society. As pointed out earlier, many Dalits organized themselves to gain entry into temples. Women demanded that they should have as much a right to education as men did. Peasants and tribals fought to release themselves from the grasp of the money lenders and the high interest they were charged. So, Dalit, they wanted entry in the temples. Women, they wanted equal right to education as men. Peasants and tribals, they were wanted to get themselves free from the clutches of the money lenders. When India became a nation in 1947, our leaders too were concerned about the different kinds of inequalities that existed. Those who wrote the Constitution of India, a document that laid out the rules by which the nation would function, were aware of the ways in which discrimination had been practiced in our society and how people had struggled against this. Many leaders of these struggles, such as Dr. Ambedkar, had also fought for the rights of the Dalits. This we have discussed in the previous paragraph as well, that he had fought for the equality for the Dalits. So these leaders set out a vision and goals in the Constitution to ensure that all the people of India were considered equal. This equality of all persons is seen as a key value that unites us all as Indians. Everyone has equal rights and opportunities. Untouchability is seen as a crime and has been legally abolished by law. People are free to choose the kind of work they wish to do. Government jobs are open to all people. In addition, the Constitution also placed responsibility on the government to take specific steps to realize this right to equality for poor and other such marginal communities. So, when they were framing the Constitution, they kept few things in their mind. First of all, they declared untouchability as illegal and it was abolished. They gave people the freedom to choose their occupation for their livelihood. Government jobs were open for all. Anybody could, take the exam and qualify to become a government officer. They placed the responsibility on the government to take certain steps so that the equality could be maintained between the poor and the marginal communities. The writers of the Constitution also said that respect for diversity was a significant element in ensuring equality. They felt that people must have the freedom to follow their religion, speak their language, celebrate their festivals, and express themselves freely. They said that no one language, religion, or festival should become compulsory for all to follow. They said that the government must treat all religions equally. So they felt that the diversity is one of the important component for our country. So they have given freedom to the people that they can follow their religion, they can practice their traditions, speak the language they feel comfortable in. They can and nobody can compel anyone to follow particular religion, and therefore they did not declare any particular language or any particular religion as to be the national. Therefore, India became a secular country where people of different religions and faith have the freedom to practice and follow their religion without any fear of discrimination. This is seen as an important element of our unity, that we all live together and respect one another. So that's why India is a secular country. People following any religion can live, they can practice their religion, they can practice their culture and tradition, and nobody can stop them from doing this. Though these ideals are enshrined in our Constitution, this chapter points out that inequalities exist even today. Equality is a value that we have to keep striving for and not something which will happen automatically. People's struggles and positive actions by the government are necessary to make this a reality for all Indians. So, it is our duty to incorporate that the equality is for everybody. All the people should be treated equally in front of the law, and they are free to follow their religion, their customs, and nobody should intervene in that. That's all for the class. Thank you, class. Please do the question answers in your notebook, learn them, take care of yourselves, be safe at home. Thank you.